Welcome to the virtual celebration of our artist residency of East Asian brush painting, cultural heritage and aesthetics. I was joined for the last 6 weeks by Jensen Chan across Google Meets, and we had a virtual class that was very enjoyable and really something spectacular, I think, to pull off during the pandemic with all the restrictions and in the situation of partial virtual instruction as well as part in class instruction. So it's been a bit of a wild ride, but I think we really did something special, and I think the students really truly enjoyed it, and I know I truly did. It was an absolute wonderful time, and if I could do it all over, I would in a moment. So one of the things I wanted to ask you guys, if you have any questions for Jensen or anyone else during the time, we're trying to save that for the end of the program. And then you could feel free to enter the questions into the chat at any point in time. And what will happen is later on, Iveta and Jensen will kind of go back and forth and answer any kind of questions or any questions for me as well. Or Mr. Henry Hartman is here with us as well, my supervisor. And it's just been quite the ordeal, I think, to get the thing off the ground at the beginning. But once it started to fly, it was hard to stop, and a true joy, wonderful pleasure, the whole entire thing. So that being said, I'm going to pass it off to Henry for some opening remarks, and thank you again for coming.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I am Henry Hartman. I'm the Fine and Performing Arts Supervisor for the district. We had this opportunity to do a few artists in residence programs with Wheaton Arts, and they've been fantastic experiences. They brought in wonderful artists who have been able to share their crafts with our students and provide another level of education to them. The pandemic kind of threw a curve into things. We were planning on doing all of this in person, and then when the pandemic hit, we said, can we still make this happen? And everybody jumped on and said, yes, we definitely can make this happen. And I'd like to thank Dr. Pirgova and Mr. Daniels and Mr. Jensen Cheng for all of their work behind the scenes and in front of the camera and everything to make this a spectacular artists in residency program. So with that being said, I would like to take a minute to introduce Dr. Iveta Pirgova. She's a director of the Department of Folk Life and Cultural Studies at Wheaton Arts and Cultural Center. And over the years, she's worked with more than 60 ethnic communities in New Jersey. With a primary interest in cultural expressions of ethnicity and identity, as well as relativity of aesthetics and artistry, Dr. Pirgova has designed a series of educational and public programs, including exhibitions, festivals, performances, workshops, classes, and artist residencies in folk and traditional arts. So it's my pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Iveta Pirgova.
Thank you very much, Henry, for this beautiful introduction. I'm really very happy to be here today, celebrating quite an impressive achievement of this virtual residency. As you said, it was not an easy task to implement a long-term residency in a pandemic, but we did it, and I feel very proud of what was accomplished in the 10-day sessions held over a 6-week period. I would like to say that for the implementation of these artist residencies, we are supported by the New Jersey Council on the Arts through grants received from the National Endowment for the Arts and distributed to the regional folklife centers in New Jersey to enable them to connect public schools with artists engaged in various folk and traditional art forms. And this is how our center, the Down Jersey Folklife Center at Wheaton Arts, was able to facilitate the introduction of Asian brush painting to the students of the Millville High School this year. On behalf of my institution, Wheaton Arts and Cultural Center, I would like to express my deep gratitude to Mr. Hartman for coordinating this effort, and to Mr. Daniels, who led this residency through so many logistical difficulties without ever forgetting its main goal, to interpret art in cultural context and emphasize the creative process as a complex of knowledge, techniques, stories, and culture-specific aesthetics. And I'm also very grateful to the resident artist, Mr. Cheng, who was able to convey his skill and cultural knowledge over a computer screen in such a meaningful way. I would like to introduce to you Mr. Jensen Cheng. He's a Taiwanese-born Asian American sculptor, painter, designer, craftsman, and educator. He's skilled in a wide variety of art mediums and has experience in both Western and Eastern arts. For the past 20 years, he has devoted his time to educating and promoting the Chinese cultural arts by teaching at various arts organizations, as well as public and private schools. He's teaching Chinese brush painting, wood carving, and the traditional art of Lao Hua, pyrography art on a wooden plate. Mr. Cheng, would you like to say a few words? You are muted. You need to unmute. You need to unmute.
All right, now, yes, I using two devices and encounter the different. All right, I'd like to explain, this is also something very new for me. I devote all my life into art and craft, and I'm a full-time teacher before I retire, right? So, but I never encountered need to operate in this way, and turn out it's fine. So I owe a big thanks to the school and the New Jersey State Art Council, and for all the help I can get from everybody, Ivata and my wife and my son. I just grab whatever anybody can help me at the time, even up to today, right? And I started from in my studio like a cold winter, and right now I'm using 3 different fans, and like already encountered the summer. Anyway, it's exciting and very, very challenging. And I'm looking forward to have similar experience with public school and with American, and to help promote the understanding of the culture and art. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jensen, for your wonderful words. I'd like to move forward with things a bit and show you guys some video. And in particular, I have a wonderful video that's an example of some of the videos that Jensen put together during his time with us to show the students the process of painting. And it's a short video, but it is excellently made and a wonderful video. And let me get to that now. I'm going to share my screen with you all, and we'll watch Jensen's fantastic video.
Hey, I'm Jensen Chen. Today I'm going to show you a very quick Sumier tutorial. Let's get started.
now to get a bit of an idea what Jensen's videos were like, I have to tell you that they only got better and better and better. And I wish I could sit and spend the whole time here showing them to you. They're really a visual treat. And the students I know truly enjoyed them, and so did I. And they were wonderful, but it wasn't just these videos. The videos were just the beginning. Jensen really spent an amazing amount of time with us online, battling through the virtual atmosphere. And I have to admit, at times, I think it was a bit of a battle for both of us. It's a lot to take on teaching fine arts across the virtual platform like this. I know from personal experience, after teaching the last year and a half of online classes with students, virtual class is a lot different, and it is not as interactive or as conducive as you would really like it to be as an artist. You know, you always want to see immediately the position of the student's hand, the position of their paper, how they're approaching the sketch, exactly how it breaks out. And there's very rarely that you have the pleasure of seeing all the work straight through. But I want to give you the experience a bit. So I put together this video that's of Jensen teaching lessons and of some stills of the students and the sage words of advice and the wonderful skills of Jensen's teaching and kind of our day-to-day practice. There are times in the video where there's, you know, real life lag happening from the virtual, you know, slowdown and things like that. So, you know, I absolutely enjoy it. I think it's a very clear picture of virtual, you know, virtual instruction in the pandemic.
If I see from the top of the bamboo plant, bamboo is a plant, not a tree. It all kind of radiate and go to all different directions. And at the angle, it will be about, I would say, maybe 35 or 45 degrees. Agree? Everybody? See my finger here? You see my finger here? I want you guys to have the basic understanding about the bamboo. Why bamboo? I can tell you why. By my book, this one, almost everybody agree bamboo is the basic subject you should study when you're dealing with sumi. And we can start with something very small like this, right? And the leaf all depend on which direction you're going to draw. Each leaf need to be at the end, the tail, we call it tail, need to be pointed. The central stroke need to be symmetrically the same. If you pick one, see from the top view. This is a very special ink. They using basically it's like charcoal. They grind the pine charcoal into very, very fine powder, almost like in cottage you have a black powder, right? Some of you probably see it. And but it also been add the water and some kind of fish glue or animal glue. No lines supposed to be look identical. That is the beauty of sumi art. That's also the challenge of the sumi artists need to do, right? Because they need to have the idea, the concept in their head first. It's not like it just naturally appear going to be, naturally happen to be, everything is beautiful. Agree? You have to purposely have design in your head. It's the essence, the very critical point, very important idea. If you didn't grab it, it's kind of, you miss the main story. You watch the show, you don't even know the main character's name. Understand? So try to grab what I'm trying to tell you. try to emphasize what is important, right? If you can do that, that's great. If you fail, you call it a mistake, a small mistake. You just try and try. And when you finally get it, try to do it again. Okay, let me show you a real flower. Ooh, got a lot of this tiny line, and it's totally almost like a silk, almost like a thin thread, and going up, and then at the end you have the top. Right? Or go observe a real flower out there. I think right now you can find some cherry. If you need any pot, go find the cherry blossom. And cherry flower petal is a little bit different than the plum, right? But it depends on how the tree is going to grow, right? Some grow directly, like vertically, perpendicularly, going to the sky, but most of them still some angle, right? So that causes the flower also going to tilt it in different angle. Understand? This to me it shows a big plum tree trunk in the center, right? And John also did some kind of, after the big tree trunk, you have the not too skinny the branch. And I mentioned after the branch, then you have the twig. Twig is grow out from the branch, right? So at least we can see 3 stages there, three of the plum body, and all the flower arranged in different angle. That's also good, right? For the fish, let me just quickly say, if you work on, I think at this time you should start to using the sumi paper. Using sumi paper, you can easily create a tone if you do it right, right? You mix your color enough, the gray color, and then you create couple of stroke, and not every stroke going to be beautiful, look like a fish, right? But you pick the right one, and you start to draw the very light thin line for the belly, and make sure don't do the dark tone for the tail and the back fin, and make sure at the end using the dark ink for the eye. Right, I'm going to quickly make another one so you can see. And this is that I so far the common mistakes didn't make, right? But I like this one. This one, no doubt, even a little kid can see this as a fish. That's mission accomplished. But how to make it better, and this also work on the sumi paper already, without smear, without all the control. That also accomplishment already. And if the person never learned this, almost maybe 80 to 90% people cannot even accomplish like this. The ink going to be too much loaded and then going to smear, right? Yeah. So that already show control. So give yourself credit. You can do a quality like this. you need to think the pine needle. Some are very straight, and most of them like this one, the one on the left hand side. Most of them need like a fan shape, like a paper fan. You open it up, and equally to the center, right? And some are longer needle points. Some are very short. I think the high mountain area, the pine tree tend to have a shorter pine needle, and so their leaf is like a needle, very straight. If you almost everywhere you can find a pine tree if you are out of the city, right? And you take a good look and you know what I'm talking about. On the right hand side here is the typical look like a Christmas style tree. You just need to control, don't make the left and right too symmetrical, right? I think a lot of students make mistake of making it look too symmetrical. I remember I mentioned Chinese people have a strong idea of harmony, balance, and symmetrical, right? But in terms of nature, when you need to depict the nature, look at the tree, look at the person. No one is 100% symmetrical. So if you, especially you dealing with tree, you make it kind of not that straight, and the branch not that straight. And for this kind of like we call like the core style, the left and right is kind of stretching out. Don't make it the same length. Don't make it the same thickness. Don't make it exactly point to the same angle, right? And then you can do it. So most of people go into that issue, and if you can just understand it better, then you will automatically draw better. Okay, thank you. So remember, the reason you learn lotus is a very important flower for the Eastern country. The area from Egypt, India, China, Japan, all over this place, right? All the surrounding area, all know this flower as like sacred flower linked to the religion, Buddhism particularly. But also outside of the religion, Chinese culture, Japanese culture, Korean culture, all kind of build on it and take the meaning of it can survive from a very muddy, very dirty environment. And a good person should be like that. Endurance, perseverance, and even in a very difficult situation, grow up to be a blossom, a very pure, beautiful flower, very symmetrical actually. If you take from the top view or the side view, but it naturally decay, right? One after the other, the petal falling down. But the inside, you can have the seed on the center of the flower. There's seed. Chinese people, Oriental people eat that seed. It's a very healthy seed. And the root at the bottom, there's a root, like a big chunk of root, not just a tiny. The root can also be cleaned up to eat. Also have the health beneficial. So the whole thing, including the leaf for wrapping or the steaming the food to get the flavor. Only the stem, probably people cannot do anything else. So the entire lotus is so useful. That's why it outranks of the water lily. Water lily probably is, a lot of people have Monet love water lily, right? And he painted a good one, become famous. But in Asia, lotus definitely is #1 flower, right? In terms of popularity and cultural background, right?
So it wasn't just this, this one-sided view of everything. Unbeknownst to a lot of you, the students are very shy during the pandemic, unlike normal high school students who will never give you a moment's rest. And across the internet, I'm afraid that they seem maybe that they're too far away, or that maybe we're all just on a television show now, or that they're too afraid to speak up out of turn. I'm not really quite sure what it is. So I spent time after all this compiling the students' show together, all of their work, and I interviewed some students, and I really tried to ask them, if you were to have spoken up, what would you say to Jensen? What would you say about the lessons that he taught? And they said the most amazing things. And I know Jensen hasn't heard a lot of these yet. So I'm going to skip and show you the wonderful work that the students were able to produce under the pandemic. Really, they didn't have a one-on-one guidance for the most part in the way that we would normally think. A lot of them were virtual at home only the entire time. And it was a real challenge for everyone involved, but was very, very proud of what they were able to accomplish. And I want to highlight the students and their reactions and their experiences in class with Jensen with you all now. So let me share my screen one last time, and I am going to show you the wonderful experiences and the reaction of the students.
At first, I didn't know anything about brush painting, right? Well, I had an idea of it, but I don't know how, Chinese people painted their paintings, obviously. So it was fun to learn how to do it. It was fun to see Jensen's art, and I think it was a pretty fun topic or new experience for me. And I gained experience maybe in drawing, like with a pencil. I can apply some techniques of brush painting to it, like the leaf Jensen showed us. So I can just apply that technique to a pencil drawing, and I think it'll fit well. The favorite, being patient. What I mean by that is being patient with the ink, right? Because yeah, it's kind of annoying, you make a mistake here and you have to restart it. But apart from that, being patient with Jensen, because I couldn't sometimes understand him, well, but I got the idea what he's saying, and I just I think it is my favorite piece of drawing that I made. It was the blossom, the first lesson, I think it was, because out of all my art that I made while Jensen was with us, it was the most I think, in my opinion, the most beautiful drawing that I made. And I like it because I spend easily after class 2 hours, almost 3 hours, and the effort I put on it, I can see it in the drawing. It was very, very beautiful done. Apart from experience and a new skill, I think learning about Chinese culture, I don't know how to say that word. I think that was the the biggest gain that I get, because people don't know a lot from other cultures. Like me, I don't know anything. I don't even know my own. Like, I know some things, but like, you know, and learning about other cultures is interesting because you see what they like, what they don't like, what they do, what they don't do. And it's kind of fun. Like, brush painting is cool. And, you know, I don't know how to explain myself, but like, I liked it.
Okay, I will take everything and teach it to other people that don't even know that it exists. I will take every technique, every single brush, and try to teach every single person the Chinese culture as well as the painting, so they can experience it more things in life and don't be kept in the dark. My favorite lesson was the bamboo one, both of them, and it's not because it was easy, but it also came out really beautiful, and I definitely would try it again. But I also like the final masterwork and including all those three techniques together to make a masterpiece. Um, I like the other ones, but those ones are my favorite ones and that I would definitely do again. My favorite part of all of it was being with him and do every single thing together instead of separate. It felt like I was there with him doing the work and him teaching us all the different things. Basically, every single thing was my favorite, and I definitely wish to have another opportunity with him so I can learn more and do more things. I never knew about brush painting, but after seeing the assignment at first, I was so confused and I immediately went to search it. And when I saw those paintings, I immediately thought, this is hard. I cannot do this. It's gonna be a really hard work. I hope it will turn out the best. But after seeing it and after doing it, I saw that it was very fast, easy. Sometimes it wasn't that easy, but it still came out wonderful. It was a wonderful experience, and I definitely learned more about Chinese culture as well as every single thing that I didn't even knew. So I'm really grateful for the lessons.
So before we had Jensen in, I didn't know anything about brush painting. I only knew kind of what it was, but I didn't know like the process or like what tools you needed or like that you needed to use ink. Like I didn't know any of that. I thought it was just regular paint. But after I learned that it's not really that hard to do. You just have to make sure that you know, use the right amount of water and ink and brushes and just take your time and a lot of practice and patience like any other art piece that you do. So I thought it was a great experience. And I'm really glad that I got to experience it with everybody else. My favorite part was probably learning about the flowers, because I didn't know that like a certain flower was so important in the culture. Like I don't really think any of us, like we don't have like a specific thing that we all like really know about and we really respect, like the lotus flower. So it was very interesting learning about that, and also how he was very patient with us, and like, you know, if like we had a lot of trouble with a certain lesson like the fish, he went over again the next class and like more in depth and was very understanding, like this is our first time doing it, and he, you know, took his time and made sure we all understood it before he moved on to the next lesson, which I really thought was nice. And I learned more about art because I obviously love doing art and I like painting a lot. And so obviously when I came in, I was expecting to do like something different, learn more things about, you know, art and different cultures and stuff. So I'm really happy that I learned that. And I feel like a lot of the stuff we learned can be used in like just regular paint, like acrylic paint, which is something that I've already practiced a little bit without the ink. So like the flowers, like making the leaves in the bamboo, or like doing the bamboo stick, or all that stuff is definitely like you can portray that into regular paint, or like even drawing. You can do that in drawing. So I definitely think I'll be using it in the future if it's not with like ink or whatever. I definitely think that if a kid is gonna try to learn more about brush painting or any other art in the future or any culture or whatever, you definitely need to be patient and take your time. Don't rush doing it. It takes practice like everything else in the world does. So don't get frustrated. If you get frustrated, maybe just like stop and work on something else, or do something that you feel more comfortable with. And don't feel like your stuff isn't as good as the teacher's, because the teacher has been doing it a lot longer than you have and you just started. So be patient, take your time, and don't think about it too much, because I definitely think about it way too much and then I stress myself out. So just take your time.
So that, I think, helps to show, the students' deep reaction to the whole thing. I just, I really, truly enjoyed interviewing with them, and the excitement, especially Alika, who was just so excited. You could tell in her voice, I'm going to share this with everyone I know. And it's that kind of exuberance that the students really had for the work that I think they really found a hard time sharing across the virtual platform sometimes, or it didn't come across as exuberant as they really were. So I think it's wonderful to just be able to hear them in their own words, and of course see the work that they've made. I'm going to pass, I think, off maybe or open up to Q&A for things, because we're getting close to the end of the things I have prepared. So
yeah.
yes.
I don't see any questions in the chat yet, but while we are waiting, I really want to thank you so very much, Matthew. These videos really show how it looks to have a residency in a pandemic situation. I mean, we can see the plastic screen dividers, plastic dividers between the students. They are all in masks and screens to be able to see the teacher. We know that there were, I mean, half of the students in class, the other half at home, and then change next time the other half. And it was really a challenge, but it seems we were absolutely challenged. Thank you so very much for these videos that were so telling the story of a residency in a pandemic. And I also see that we have a representative here from the State Council on the Arts. Kim, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you want to say a few words, I mean, this is very informal meeting. You just please free to just unmute yourself and say it. And it goes for everyone else. If someone wants to ask a question out loud, that is okay too. If they want to put it in the chat, whatever you prefer. Thank you very much.
It has absolutely been a joy. You know, I really have to give some thanks to some of the students, in particular, John Martinez and Lika Rodriguez and Gianna Gonzalez, and really also for their absolute patience, their willingness to step forward all the time, and then Alejandra Lopez for her just amazing artwork and beautiful photographed artwork, and the just absolutely gorgeous lotus flowers that she was able to produce, and all of that was at home. And really special thanks to all four of you. You really made the class so much, so much joy. I think came through from the four of you. Not to play down other students' participations at all, but you four were real standout. And thank you for participating in anything that I asked you to do, and it really means the world.
I just would like to, this is Kathy Chen. I'm actually Jensen's wife. And I just really would like to make some comment because I'm working with him through a whole set, the whole process. And first I want to say to the students, you should be really, really proud of you, proud of yourself for your efforts. And I know everybody's saying it's a very difficult, very tough time in the pandemic, time, but you guys really, I know you're not confident with your work. That's why during the process, you doesn't want to show it, but at the end result, you got it. You got it. And as I'm doing the homework, when I'm looking through the homework along with Jensen, a lot of times I would say to Jensen, this is good. I mean, you're a student. I'm very shocked that you got it. Just with one lessons, with a shorter time, you actually got it. So you really should be proud of you. And Matt, you are amazing. And I think without you, this would not be pushing through, and without accomplish the way that you help out and dealing with the struggles, in your side. It's amazing. And I thank you for the video. I was really impressed with the video. And I know you spend a lot of time, and you make Jason looks really good with this. And I was really touched when I see. I know he's a great talented man, and I also know he really spent a lot of times in this, behind the scene, a lot of thinking process too. And especially Avita, without you, at first we thought about it, oh, it's impossible to do, but it is you, for the invitation and for the giving ideas and pushing through, really making Jensen to the first he has a million ideas, but we have to go through the process of drawing down to the most 10 objects that we think is worthwhile. Actually 8 or 6, what is worthwhile for the student to be experienced to do. So it's the whole process, for you to push through. We really appreciate. I think Jason really appreciate, your.
It was an absolute joy to work with Jensen and you, and I would do it all over again. I hopefully someday we'll do it again in person. and I know the struggles that we went through, but I think we all did it with grace, and I know how hard it is to work behind the scenes. It makes it look easy sometimes when you roll out the final presentation, but the amount of work that's prepared behind just any basic virtual demonstration is an amazing amount of work. So thank you as well, and it was a joy. Really, it truly was a joy. Thank you for your kind words.
Yeah, and I also definitely want to thank you for the New Jersey, official governments. I don't know your official title is, but really appreciate your visions about this. Introduce a different cultural, and into especially when many public school is cutting the art and the cultural things is the first thing they cut, and not to let alone talking about diversity, different cultures, be explored to different cultures. Especially we are in a very difficult time. A lot of time, we have those conflicts. I think that it is very visionary for you to willing to provide the fundings and to have the special opportunities for the art and culture to be shared with the different populations. I think that's very, we appreciate very, very much.
With that being said, we'd like to conclude our program tonight. We have recorded the program and we will be sharing it out on social media and some of our websites. So if you have friends that weren't able to make it tonight, they can see tonight's wonderful presentation. I know that we did have a few of our board members from our Board of Education in the audience tonight. So we thank you, Kevin and Mike, for coming out. We have a few teachers from the district. I know I saw Bridget and Alyssa. So thank you for coming out, and everybody else who has joined us today. There's so many hands and minds that have gone into making this program a success. So again, I would like to thank Dr. Iveta Pergova, Jensen Chang, Matthew Daniels, and everybody else who has been a part of this program. We'll stay on for a few minutes if anybody has any other further questions, but if not, we hope that you have a wonderful evening, and we thank you again for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Henry. It was very good. Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
Maybe you could consider to open a Chinese class too.
We actually are posting for a world language position, and whoever we get to teach, that's what we're
Jason
going
is
to have.
certified to teach Chinese, just letting you know.
That is good to know. Absolutely.
Yeah, we have many thanks in the chat and people appreciating this wonderful presentation. Hopefully next residency will be in person and it will be a whole different celebration in the auditorium of the school.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I'm looking forward to it.
Do
And
you
also,
guys
thank
care
you
if
all
I
for coming
leave?
out. Oh, sorry.
Do y'all care if I leave?
No, go right ahead, Zach. Good night.
Thanks,
you for coming
Daniels.
out.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. All right, I'm going to stop the recording at this point.